So now that you're putting yourself out there online and giving your opinion and your story online, there's a lot of hate obviously that you get that you also spoke about earlier. How do you deal with it now?
I have had a love-hate relationship with hate. uh, there was a time where I used to actually genuinely espouse kindness in a way where I used to really believe. Like I've hosted with Instagram India. We have actually done this program called Kindness Champions, where I have trained young content creators on how to be kinder on the internet, how to deal with all of this. So I actually worked on this as an advocate also, and I've mentored people about this. But my relationship has kept changing. Like earlier I used to really genuinely feel, which I still feel, like anybody who's being hateful on the internet is you cannot take that personally, because it's about them, it's not about you, which I truly believe in, right? It's never about you, it's always about them. There's something they're going through in their life, and they feel like the way for them to act out or get attention is by saying something not nice to somebody else. And you have to remove yourself from that equation and just see it for what it is. Somebody said something, it has nothing to do with you. I would always advocate to be kind to your trolls, to actually not take them that. In fact, I have personally done this in the past, where I've actually, somebody said something really mean to me, and I've like, sorry dost, if this is how you felt, but hope this, I'll try to do better. And that the person's only mean like, no, sorry sir, I did something wrong, because they're just doing it for attention. They're not even, a lot of them don't even think that we'll ever see their comment. They've just put a comment out in the world. But now, as the other thing that's happened, and particularly because this was during, for me, like the early parts of the internet where people were doing this, I feel like now it's become so organized and so targeted sometimes, and especially with marginalized communities, especially with people who are of a certain ideology, a certain moral standing, etc. It's very organized, and that hate is not coming from like anonymous people. It's coming from people whose entire job sometimes they're paid to kind of hate on people. Especially when it comes to women's, especially when it comes to marginalized communities, and now I'm of a very different opinion, that I feel like you have to do what works for you best. Yeah. You have to first be kinder for yourself, right? And if being kind to yourself means blocking people, muting people, just do that. Just ignore it. If somebody is, why should you take the effort of giving somebody the benefit of doubt when it's hurting you? You owe it to yourself first to keep your mental health better, and not to care about these people who are doing this. And I feel like there's also enough conversation on the internet about kindness, and enough conversation about trolls and hate. So now people who are doing this mindfully. They're not doing this because they're ignorant. They're doing this because this is something they enjoy. And I find that extremely sad, and it's a symptom of our society not giving enough love and compassion, or not teaching enough love and compassion in the growing years to people, that they feel lonely enough to spend so much of their time in just riling up people on the internet that they don't know. It's a very, very sad thing. So I just now am a very, like, I feel like I'll tell you one example of something that happened to me, which is just really like, so there's a content creator who's a very dear friend of mine. She put up a video, and I wrote something like, this is so cute, okay? And there was this one guy, who wrote something extremely nasty, and he's just like, nahi degi, okay? I was so, typically I ignore these comments, but this was first on her profile, right? And then what happens is, the reason they do it also is because there are 40 other boys then who will look at that, and it's typically, unfortunately, boys only looking and giving that likes, and saying, ha, this is so funny that somebody said this. Now, I typically ignore, but this was on her profile, and it's a very uncool thing. I'm married, she's with somebody else. It's such a nasty thing for somebody to say, and it became like a lot of people liking. So I went into, typically again I said ignore, but I went into his profile. Then I found that we have common friends. Oops. Okay, so it turns out that this person was part of I had gone to their college. I had done a talk in that college, and a bunch of those people in that college were people I followed and who became like friends of mine. So I reached out to those people and said, "Kaun hai ye batao mujhe?" Because this person is clearly from your college, and he said this thing to me. Now, 3 of those people who said that, oh God, I can't believe he said something. I know this person like this. Why would he say something of this sort? So I said, I want his number. So I got the number and I messaged him. I said, you've put over, yeah. And I was very upset about this. I said, now you tell me. And I messaged and I responded to him saying, ये तुमने मेरे इस पे किया. Now I know everything about you. I know your LinkedIn. I know where you work. I know which college you've gone to. I know your friends. And now, but all I want from you, I'm not saying this to threaten you, but all I want from you is an answer to why did you do this?
Okay.
You know, and he immediately obviously got very nervous. He called me, etc. I was like, I don't want to talk to you. I want you to just respond to me and tell me, तुमने ये क्यों किया? He's like, no, sir, it's a mistake, this and that. I was just doing for attention. I was just doing this, etc., etc. I was like, here's what I want you to do. I want you to think about it for one night. Okay, I promise I'm not going to put out anything over this one night, but I want you to genuinely think about this. And tomorrow morning, I want you to send me a proper reply to why do you feel you did this. I want you to think and understand तुमने ऐसा क्यों कहा. When you seem to clearly be a well-educated person, you're studying in one of the premier institutions in our country. You are working in a place that I know people there also. I'm like, everything. There is nothing on paper that is wrong with you. Why would you do something like this? So nasty, so mean. And this guy then took like a whole day, and then next 24 hours later sent me this long essay where he said, he went into depths of like, I'm lonely. I feel like, I don't have friends. When I say something like this, there are people who upvote it and it makes me feel good. And I've done it in a couple of times, but this is not who I am. I promise you. I have realized now. Thank you for the opportunity of giving me to think about it, this and that. Then I said, okay, chalo, tumne abhi socha hai, and you have genuinely, I can see you have gone through a process of thinking about this. I'm not going to do anything about this. I'm going to let this go. But I'm just requesting you, please, for God's sake, be a better person than this. This is not the kind of person. Is this really who you want to be in the world around you? And then he obviously deleted. I didn't say anything after that. But I mean, this is can you imagine? I can't even, and again, trolls are among you only. There are people that maybe who have known you, have context of you, who may know your friends, and yet it's so sad that this is what they feel they need to do to get attention. Like the need for validation is so much that you're okay going to some random creator's profile and saying something so nasty so that you get 50 upvotes. Matlab, is this really what you want to reduce your life and time and your time on this planet to? So anyway, so now I'm of a very different opinion. I'm just like, it's, you have to be kind to yourself first, more than just thinking about their thing. And I feel like if someone's really crossing a line, of course, block, mute, etc. But I think like you can also, I feel at this point of time, it's okay to take further steps to this. Because at this point, there's no excuse for anybody to be unkind on the internet. When there is so much conversation about mental health, there's so much conversation. Everybody is well read. We cannot now go assuming in the world that people are ignorant. You're not. You're just doing this on purpose. And you need to really, really think about why you're doing this.
I had once actually put out a piece of content where the lighting was wrong, and you won't believe what happened. So it was like everybody suddenly very worried about me, and I was very concerned. I said, why do you have dark circles? Ma'am, what happened to you? And don't you sleep enough? We are very worried about you. And then there were nasty comments, to which all of them I replied that I'm teaching you about marketing. Is it more important to look at how I'm looking or listen to what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I replied to all of them. Then I realized that it's not really worth my time. I'm just going to let it be and ignore. But there are times when sometimes anyways things are going wrong in life.
Yeah, of course.
And then it picks up, and then something like that happens, and you go into like, oh my God, this happened to me.
Yeah.
Does that affect your personal life when something like that happens online?
I have, on this day when this happened, that really affected me. So I was with my wife in Kashmir at that time. So I was on a holiday, and then I saw this, and I was so upset about this because I was like, this is just one of the nastiest things someone has said to me. Because also I'm very fond of the person that, we're very good friends, and to just have someone say some stupid shit like this, it does affect you. Of course it does affect you, but I keep going back to something my mother had said, which is really sweet. Once, because I was talking to her, I'm very friendly with my mother, so we have sometimes conversations like this. So I was telling her about criticism and on the internet, because my mother is very sweet at in that, like, when I used to do this on Facebook and I used to write long, I used to have this thing, I used to write long posts on Facebook. Sometimes if somebody was saying something mean, my mother would respond to them. And it's just like, Mama, aap mat isme ghuso. Please, aapke liye, you don't get involved in this. I'm requesting you that I know that there are people who comment, bad things. If somebody comments something bad against you, I will get very upset. So please, I beg you, you don't put yourself out there. So then she stopped. Otherwise, she would also be like, Mr. This, you are not right to say this. I was like, why you? Please, just don't. This is not your world. Please don't. But then she said this very sweet thing. She said that, when you have a blank paper, and on that there is one dot, you will not look at any of the white thing. You look at the black dot. And she's like, you need to start looking at the white thing as well. And that just kind of saying that जब आपके जो एक negative comment आते हैं, there's also so much love and so much kindness, and then you know that this is the reason you're doing this. It is the love and the kindness and the support that so many people offer you. Like we are all, any one of us on the internet today, is the reason we are here is because of people who are kind to us. There are obviously people who hate us, but we have made it in spite of them, and so we owe it to the people who are the white in that, and not the black dot. And so I've always now is kind of, anytime I see a bad comment something that affects me, I go and immediately look at 4 or 5 nice comments also. I'm like, someone said something so nice. My DM, if there's a DM that I have not had the chance to reply, I will go and reply to them. तुमने इतना अच्छा बोला था, उसने इतना खराब बोला. Let me first respond and acknowledge that. Thank you for saying something so nice, etc. But yeah, I think it's not easy to deal with it, and I feel like we need more communities online where we have these kind of discussions as well, and we need to train people. I feel like now it needs to be part of education system. I genuinely think that now growing up, people need to be taught how to use the internet. And what is right and what is wrong on the internet. As someone who's been an educator, I swear to God, I feel like there is nothing, 2 to 3 things that we require so deeply in our education system is, in today's times, gender sensitivity, gender advocacy, inclusivity, across caste, sexuality, all kinds of marginalization. We need to teach people this. And the third is right now internet, and how to be on the internet and how to use the internet in a kinder, more sensitive way. Because earlier we were all in our own bubbles. हम लोग कुछ ही अपने बबल्स के अंदर ऑपरेट करते थे बिफोर द इंटरनेट. इफ यू आर अ वेल्दी पर्सन, यू वुड हैव 5 वेल्दी पीपल दैट यू आर ऑलवेज हैंगिंग विद, एंड योर वर्ल्ड वाज जस्ट दैट. You never needed to have anything to do with the other world. If you were underprivileged and you were from a certain place that you grew up in, your world was just that. You would never cross fear. But because of the internet, everybody is everywhere. And if you don't understand the humanity of everybody else around you outside of your own bubble, either you are going to face something or you're going to do something to someone else which is going to be very not nice. So just break out of those bubbles of your privilege and start recognizing that there are so many more people in the world outside of you, and they get affected by stuff that you may say, and you may get affected by stuff that they say. So we need to widen our bubbles now. We need to genuinely start learning these things.